electronic voting and software. So yes, put the information in the chat. If you have any questions about any of the other products as well, feel free to get in touch. You will receive, as Katie said, the credits within, by the end of next week. We should have everything ready and reported. If you have any questions, please post them in the chat. I will, or Katie will monitor the chat, and every couple of slides, we can go over the questions that have been posted. So let me know, maybe Katie, you can let me know if you can see the slides, and I will start.
Yep, everything looks great. Everything looks good. And yes, please chat your questions. I will chime in and send them to Lisa as we go.
All right, thanks, Katie. Okay, so let's get started. Benefits of web portals for condos and HOAs. We actually haven't done this class in a while because e-voting was a lot more in demand. But we decided to teach this class again because there have been some updates when it comes to the requirements for condos and HOAs and what they need to do to be compliant with Florida Statutes 718 and 720. So we're going to talk a little bit about digital solutions in general. Of course, the regulations, the changes, what you need to set up in order to be compliant, what other components and modules might be useful for your association, ADA compliancy and common mistakes that associations might make when they get started with a web portal will be discussed, and then what to look out for, and of course open discussion. So as we said, feel free to post any questions in the chat. Now, as I mentioned, we develop software for condos and HOAs. I would say 95% in Florida. And why did we decide to really focus on Florida? Because Florida has very specific rules when it comes to things such as e-voting software and web portals. Every state is different, but since Florida does have a lot of condominiums, a lot of HOAs, POAs, the rules are quite complex and they keep changing. So what really is the reason behind all of this, why making it mandatory? Well, first of all, digital solutions tend to be a lot more secure, of course, depending on the software, but that's what we're here for and our developers. They are more cost effective if you think about all the postage, that associations spend on sending out mailers and paper ballots, etc. It's more transparent. People know exactly where to go to find information. Increases participation. It can be interactive, and of course, it saves a lot of time because you don't have to call into the office, try to reach someone, send out emails, etc. to individuals. You can all do it within one platform. Now, what are the website regulations for 718 condos and 720 HOAs? So previously, as some of you might know, Florida condominiums were required to have a certain web portal, but only those who have more than 150 units. So these associations, I think it started in January 2019, or actually no, it's 2018. Condo associations needed to set up a web portal which is wholly owned and operated by the association or by a third-party provider, which I'll talk about in a little bit. It needed to have a private section for owners, and a large number of documents and notices had to be posted. Now, this is of course still true, but there have been some changes. So starting on January 1st, 2025, HOAs, so those associations that fall under 720, will also be required to provide owners with a web portal. those that have more than 100 units or more. I'll talk about the documents that are required in a bit. Now, what will change for condominiums? The number of condominiums, the number of units in a condominium that is required to provide a web portal was dropped from 150 to 25 units or more. However, condos have time till January 1st, 2026 to provide this. And for those who already have a web portal, there have been some additional content requirements. Now, what are these requirements? Bear with me, this is a long list of documents that need to be provided. The full law, you can find that under a link that is also in this presentation, which we will share with you. You can also find it on our website, and then the complete text. The bill is also, there will be a link and you can actually read that. But I just try to summarize it because otherwise I'm fearing that I will lose your attention. So the recorded declaration, of course, and each amendment. Recorded bylaws and each amendment to the bylaws, articles of incorporation, and the rules and regulations of the association. Declaration of covenants for the HOAs, and also a copy of each amendment need to be uploaded in a certain section. Usually we recommend to have a document section with different categories, such as official documents, board announcements, meetings, meeting minutes, meeting agendas, financial documents, contracts, and bids. Because you're also required to upload management agreements, lease or other contracts, in summaries of bids for materials, equipment, or any services. And those have to be maintained for 1 year. You need to post the annual budget or proposed budget, which will be discussed at a meeting, and the financial reports. So if you have a balance sheet every month, that also needs to be uploaded every month. You will need to upload the certification of each director. So, you know, when you do the CE course to become certified to be on the board of directors, you usually get the certificate, which you will also get after this webinar, and that needs to be uploaded. All contracts or transactions between the association and any director, officer, corporation, firm, or association that is not an affiliated condominium association. Insurance policies, any contract or document regarding a conflict of interest or a possible conflict of interest, and also, and this is actually just as far as I know, true for HOAs, but it's yeah, I mean, it's useful for condos as well. And there's the name and contact information for each community association manager or the representative of a community association management firm. And the hours of availability and the summary of the duties and responsibilities of that association manager. So long list, and it might seem a little bit harrowing in the beginning. Once you have gathered all these documents, it's really just a matter of keeping them up to date and making sure you know, you do it on a regular basis. But we're not quite done yet. So the notice of any unit owner meeting and the agenda for the meeting no later than 14 days before the meeting, as you would put it on like your bulletin board. Also 14 days is the deadline, 14 days prior. So then this notice, it has to be uploaded, but it must also be in plain view on the front page of the website. So not on the actual landing page, the public site, but when people log in, they should immediately see a link or a menu button labeled notices. And that has to be visible on the front page. And of course, then in this category, the association must also post any document that will be considered and voted on at the meeting, and any other documents listed on the agenda for this meeting, and that has to be posted at least 7 days before. And then, yeah, I mean, any notice of any board meeting, whether it's a closed board meeting or a special assessment meeting or, you know, budget meeting, all of those agendas have to be posted. And then, of course, after the meeting has taken place, you also need to post the minutes. Now, the association's website must be accessible through the internet. I mean, that's a given, really, but it does say so in the bill. It must contain a subpage, a web portal, or some protected location that is not accessible to the general public. And this has to be password protected for each owner. And it must, of course, be accessible to all the unit owners or property owners and the employees of the association. It also says, upon written request by an owner, the association must provide that person with a username and password to access these protected sections. However, I mean, there are ways, you know, to not have to or to avoid those written requests, but to actually provide your unit owners with access. What we recommend usually is that on this web portal, people will sign up either with an activation code and then set their own password, or you could put a request owner account button on the web portal, and people will, or the owners will be able to put in their information and then request an account. The administrator or administrators will approve that account if, you know, they double check, yes, this person actually is an owner in our association. And then this owner will receive a link and they can set their own password. And then anytime they want to log in, they can use their email and password and get access to the protected sections. So what are the additional content requirements for 718? So this wasn't required previously, but now condo associations also need to upload inspection reports. Any other inspections report relating to structural or life safety inspections. They must upload structural integrity reserve studies, if applicable, and copies of building permits for any ongoing or planned construction. So these 3 things, keep in mind. If you already have a web portal, you didn't need to do that previously, but yeah, if those apply to you, then yeah, make sure you upload them as well. A quick question, do we have any questions in the chat, Katie?
We do. We have a couple. So the first one would be, can a small management company have one website that would include separate portals for the few communities they have under separate access controls? Would that be in compliance?
So a small property management company, what you can do, of course, is to provide links to the web portals on your property management site. If you have a website for your company, you can link, you can provide links to each portal of the individual associations. Now, one thing, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, is that the domain, you know, you'd have to be careful there, because let's say the property management company is called XYZ, and your domain is xyz.com, and then you provide web portals to your associations. It shouldn't be xyz.com / Old Port Cove. Let's say that was the association name. It has to be an individual domain that is owned by the association, or if they have a contract with another software provider, or they registered it, because when the association or the property management company decides they no longer want to work together, the association, needs to have certain procedures in place not to lose that content and to lose the website. But I would, every association works differently. Some actually say, well, fine with us, if the property management company wants to provide it, that is okay. But there are some red flags there. And if you have some more questions about that, send me an email and we can discuss that in more detail, because there are certain ways to provide all of the associations with a web portal that doesn't involve a lot of work, but you have to be careful when it comes to certain steps.
Thanks, Lisa. So I guess, and to add on to that, if a HOA is currently utilizing a web portal through the management company that's accessible to the owners, they would then need to get a public domain for the public where they could post the notices and maybe applications, documents, and then have the link to the management company's, software through there for the owners. Is that correct?
So I know that a lot of property management companies, they have their own web portals and they have their internal software. It depends really. I mean, I would always recommend to have that association owns the domain. It's not legally required. It's more of a recommendation also by the DBPR. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, simply because if there is a transition to another property management company, the association might lose the website and then they are not compliant, and it might take some time to to set up a new web portal, to gather all the contents again. So it's not required, it's recommended.
Great, thanks, Lisa. And then would renters need to be provided access, or is it owners only?
It's only required for owners. Some associations, they have a subsection for renters, but I think less than 50% do. So most associations just provide that to owners, because it also involves a lot of administration work. Renters usually change more frequently than owners, so you always have to be on top and make sure that if someone moves out, you need to remove access. So most associations don't do that.
Great, thank you. And the last one, and then I'll let you move on, is how can you handle the homeowners that don't use computers? Does this website work on smartphones or tablets?
Yes, so of course it should be accessible through any mobile devices. So websites, should be mobile friendly. And that's also something to look out for, that when you look at providers, also make sure that you use a smartphone to open a demo site and to see what it looks like. Usually sort of the industry standards are that all new websites are mobile friendly, but it's always good to double check.
Great, awesome. So go ahead and we can move on, and we'll take some more questions later.
Okay. So yeah, what I mentioned, what also a question was, is this website owned by the association? Is it owned by the management company? Who owns the domain? I mean, there are some gray areas because it doesn't say specifically in 718 and 720 in the statutes, but just from experience speaking, we're not a property management company, but we work with a lot of property management companies and associations. And if, let's say, a contract is terminated with a property management company, we've come across cases where the property management company simply takes down the website, and all the content that was on there needs to be collected again and scanned and all of that stuff. So really make sure that in your agreement there are some paragraphs about transition in case you're going to switch providers. The all of the content should be owned by the association. But what is the transition process? Will the website provider give you download all the content, all the documents, etc., and provide that to you? In which format will it be provided? So those are questions that you should ask yourself when you sign a contract, because you don't want to be thrown into violation status if there is some change and then the portal is being shut down, and you could be fined. I mean, yeah, it happens rarely that associations are actually fined, but if there's an owner and he reports the association, then that might as well be the case. So yeah, if you have questions about these rules or domain ownership, etc., you can of course get in touch with us. I also put here the bills for 7/20/7/18, and also on our website there is a summary, because it's sometimes a little bit tedious to read 30 pages of legal text. Now, just some components that we found and our customers found useful. Of course, you will have the public site, and this is also can provide information for potential buyers, for potential renters, where you just describe a little bit about the association. You have a contact form where people can ask questions. Of course, you need documents, the documents that I mentioned, but also, any kind of forms, application forms, sales and lease forms. Some of those documents you might want to provide not only in the private section, but also on the public page. Let's say, realtors or potential tenants keep asking you, oh, can you email me the sales and lease application form? You might as well put it on the public page and say, well, just go here. This is our domain, and you will find it there, so you don't have to, keep sending everything via email. Calendars. A lot of associations have social committees and a water aerobics class, something like that. So always good to put that on the website, or when trash pickup, and of course your meetings, information about the board meetings that are taking place. Directories, and they're not required, but actually the name of the board members and their position. If you'd wanted to put up a unit directory or an owner directory, you could do that. Frequently asked questions, for example, about preferred vendors. Some associations put that on there, or just, important numbers, the sheriff's department or the local library, anything that might be of importance or of interest to your owners. We same as useful links, if you have any links, for example, to your payment portal or any local sort of institutions, anything that you think people will need to know when they move to the association, of course, put those on there. And announcements, sort of like a news section. We're having elevator maintenance. Building A will not be able to use the elevator between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m., something like that. And if there have been any changes, let's say new board of directors, anything that you want the owners to be aware of, put that in an announcement section. When it comes to the communication, I mean, that's really, the main benefit to facilitate communication and to make communication more transparent and faster. Check if the website has e-blast features, so you can create different recipient groups, send out these announcements, these news through the web portal, and make sure that this is something that you can customize as well. Maybe you just want to send out an e-blast to the owners in one building, or just to the board of directors. That's something that, you know, you could use that website for, because you don't want to have too many different platforms. You have one for e-voting, you have one for your email communication, then you have the web portal, then you have the property management. So really, if you can integrate that, and for the administrators to just have one software where you log in instead of 5 softwares with 5 different passwords, that makes your life a lot easier. Maybe you want to send text message through it as well. What you could also have, and this has been quite useful for some of our customers, is that you have different access levels. So let's say well, if you want to have a section for renters, they have only access to a small percentage of the information. Then you have your owners that have access to all the required information. And then maybe you have a section for board members, and they might have access to more documents that are relevant for your work as on the board. We use a lot of, or the associations we work with use a lot of work orders or service requests where the owners can actually make the office aware of, you know, maybe the lights are not working in the laundry room, things like that. Reservations, if you offer to owners that they can book the social room, the clubhouse, the tennis court. You could also do that through the web portal, and also give them access to the calendar, so they know, oh, on Saturday, well, I wanted to have my birthday party in the clubhouse, but it's already reserved. E-forms in general are very useful because they're also stored. You can export them as an Excel spreadsheet. Maybe you want to know when the snowbirds leave, you know, for summer. Maybe you just have an e-form where people can say, oh, I'm interested in joining a committee, or my contact information has changed, my HOA address is no longer the same. You know, all kinds of e-forms and forms that people come into the office for, you could provide on there. If you have, if you want to offer payments as well, that is usually done through another provider, for example, Stripe, or, you know, other services, other service providers, where the owners can pay via ACH or credit card, or you just put a link. If you already have a payment portal, you could just put the link there. Maybe you want to upload videos or provide videos of your meetings if you record them, or any other information that you have in video format. Make sure you can also put that on the website. And some associations offer a real estate section. You could have just special access for realtors, where they apply in the association, say, I'm a realtor and I'm selling a unit here in the house, in the association. Could I put it on the website? And then they have this separate section, and people see, okay, this unit is for sale. So make sure, as we mentioned before, that it's mobile friendly, that people can actually access all the information on their phone or on their iPad. Also make sure you have unlimited storage, because you know, the longer you have the web portal, the more documents you will have. Maybe also photos, if you have some construction before and after photos, or just general photos of the association. Make sure that it's cloud-based. So of course, I don't think there are any current web portals out there that are desktop-based, but make sure that all the information that is on there is backed up, you know, so you don't lose it in case there is a problem with the server or anything. The integration, I mentioned that before, and that just means, you know, if you have different softwares, such as e-voting, such as property management software, check if they can integrate, or if you use QuickBooks, you know, does it integrate with the other portals, with the other software solutions? Customizable, I mean, Of course, there are certain requirements that you need to meet, but there are also optional features, such as the ones I just mentioned. Make sure it's not just a one-fits-all solution, but you can actually make changes, add features, take other features away that you don't want to use. We always think it's useful to make the web portals a little bit interactive. So you give your owners the option to post, for example, things on the marketplace or bulletin board. Say I'm an owner and I want to sell my my dryer and washer. I could put it there, or I'm looking for a pet sitter. I can put that on the marketplace. But one thing I would like to mention is that we always recommend to have an approval process, because and that just means people submit a post and it has to be checked and then will be published. So checked by the administrator. Simply because you probably have come across owners that are a little bit more critical, let's put it that way, and you don't want them to post inappropriate content that's not meant to be on a bulletin board. Some associations, they also have sections for photos from social events. Of course, there is also then the always the question about privacy rights. So I recommend to just have one person upload photos that really knows, okay, did we get permission? Let's say you have a Christmas party or something like that. But generally, photos of the association are always good to have on there if there's any updates, just to keep those people informed that are not in the association if they, go away for the summer, for example. Discussion forums are, to be fair, not used that often, but some associations, they do provide them with or without approval process, so people can just, exchange thoughts and give feedback. If you have social committees, maybe they want to post updates there and what they've been working on. Surveys are more like opinion polls, so it wouldn't be an official election, because if you use an electronic solution for your board of directors election, there are certain requirements that apply. So you wouldn't be able to put that on a website. It could be linked, but it's not a feature of a website, simply because the web portal, you have to give access to everyone. And for e-voting, people have to opt in. So there'll be a different group of people using that. But surveys can be put on the website, where you just ask people, do you think we need new pool furniture? What color do you think we should paint the lobby in? Things like that. Widgets, that could be, for example, that's a feature that comes from, it's automated usually. For example, a hurricane widget, the NOAA widget, where it tells you there is a hurricane warning, blah, 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 and you can click on it and you get more information. I see there are some more questions, I believe.
Yes. So I was just going to actually interrupt you. So are there any changes under the laws about the directory content, like the email addresses, phone numbers, addresses, etc., for the directory?
No. For the directory, so I mean, it's always the case, if you want to publish, let's say, a directory with name and email, you need permission. So what we recommend is that if people sign up for the website, if they activate their account, there to be a button that they have to check that says, yes, you're I consent to email notifications, so you can actually send them emails. Otherwise, you're not allowed to if they haven't officially consented. And yes, my information may be published to other owners. If they don't check that box, I wouldn't publish any information. The exception is that if you have a section just for the board of directors, you could provide a full directory there. And that's what a lot of associations do. They say, okay, the board should have another section on the web portal that they can log into, and they see all the information, the phone numbers, the email addresses.
Yes, and then someone else is asking, what is the minimum information we have to post online? I know you had that covered in a couple slides prior, which Lisa will be sending this presentation to everyone, so you can refer back to that. But it's definitely going to be governing documents, minutes, contracts, bids, financials. That's, you know, and meeting notices, that kind of thing. All of the basic records need to be up there.
Yes.
Also, we had a couple people asking, do recreation or master associations need to have their own website? I'm gonna
So
help you out with that one. If they're HOAs and they're more than 100 units in the master, yes, they have to have a website. If they're a condominium master and they have more than 25, yes, they need to have a website. They go by the same rules as every other association in either 718 or 720, depending on what kind of master association it is.
perfect. Yeah,
And
he is our expert when it comes to any legal questions.
yeah, I'm gonna help her out with that one. So then we had also what was the other one here? Can they use the same portal as they do for the e-voting? No, it needs to be a separate portal.
Correct.
And with regard to posting financials, which reports are posted? For the financials, I think you're going to definitely want to have at least the balance sheet, income statement, and your receivables up there. I do tell people you could redact bank numbers. Don't put checks, copies of checks. You want to have some security to the actual financial you know, information of the bank accounts and things. But remember, those are official records, they can still request to have those, but you definitely need to have at least the balance sheet, income statement, and your receivables. And yes, that will have a unit owner's name and number that you still need to post that. The owners have a right to see all of that. And so time is short to pull this together. Sounds like as part of the new rules, HOA will have to obtain 3 to 4 bids from different web maintenance companies. Yes. You should follow the same procedures you used with getting bids for any other contractor. So I would suggest, yeah, you have at least 2 to 3. And rec associations, this gentleman's asking again, if you are governed by 720 on the rec association, then you are going to follow the same rules as everyone else, including if 100 units or more, you have to have a website. If you are not, if you are just 617, you need to consult with your legal counsel just to be sure, because some rec associations do follow the basic laws of 720 and some do not. So I would consult with your attorney on that. And go ahead, Lisa, keep going.
All right. So just a few things that you should look out for. So, I mean, security, of course, always ask the company you work with what kind of security measures they have. Ask for a security statement. Most companies will have a security statement where they tell you exactly where content is hosted and stored. Of course, I mean, there's some I guess not even necessary to mention, but if for example, someone in your association says, well, I've done websites before, I can provide you with a website. I would always ask, okay, do you actually, what will happen if you move out? We've come across some websites where an owner set those up and then he moved out, he didn't update it, and the owners or the board didn't have access. One of the things that should, of course, always be be encrypted. So that basically just means if you go to the website, it says this website is secure because it has the HTTPS instead of HTTP, which is not secure. When it comes to the administration, because you need to update your web portals, as we just mentioned, you know, the balance sheets, new board certificates, minutes, agendas. So from the beginning, make sure you have not just one person who knows how to do that, but maybe two. So if someone is on vacation or someone is out sick, What is also possible, some companies provide a content update package. So it might just be a flat fee for a couple of bucks a month, and all the association has to do is send new content, and the company who provides the web portal will also upload anything and do any updates. Mobile friendliness, we already mentioned. Updates to the website, you know, like on your phone, sometimes it says there's a new version of the software. Do you want to update it? Make sure you don't have to do any of that, but it's actually just done automatically, and that you don't have to pay for any updates. Think about the case when property management company or administrator leaves the association. Who will who will have access? Will the content still be provided? And also, will, let's say, the administrators leave, you still have the website. Will the website company, will they provide you with all the information the new administrators leave? Will they do free tutorials? Do they have manuals? You know, will they provide free customer service? Also, how easy is it to post private and public content? You don't want to have to upload everything twice. So also make sure it's user friendly. So it's you don't need any programming knowledge. Don't need to be a computer scientist to navigate in the website and update it. Sometimes, you know, it's just as easy as uploading, let's say, an application form, and there's a checkbox and it says, okay, this document should also be on the public page. Or for example, photos, you know, you just check a box, and that way you don't have to do everything twice. ADA compliancy, I know we're running a little bit short on time, so I'm just going to go over that quickly. What is ADA compliancy? So ADA compliancy just means that the website has to be easily accessible for people with visual impairments or who are blind. So for example, some websites, they don't have enough contrast when it comes to the colors. It's like a light gray background, and then the letters are dark gray. And that's very difficult for people with macular degeneration or other vision impairments to read. So there are certain ways to avoid this. For example, websites can actually be listened to with, you know, some programming in the background. And the thing is that there was a couple of years ago, there were a lot of fines that associations had to pay, or at least, you know, they were being sued, because if the website is not ADA compliant, it's possible that the association is fined up to $50,000 for a first violation, $100,000 for a second, even more for compensation of damages. So really ask your provider if they have, if they are ADA compliant, if they comply with the American with Disabilities Act. And a simple solution could just be to add a widget, and that just means you have a little, or a bigger button, actually, some people with visual impairments that see it. And this allows the person to have the page read to them, to increase contrast, make the text bigger, make the cursor bigger, change the font, you know, all of those things that make it easier for people to have access to all the information that is provided. I mean, SEO might be something you want to ask about. That just means, well, it stands for search engine optimization, and that helps people to find your website online, for example, potential buyers or realtors. It needs some programming work in the background, so it's usually not something that the association or the administrators would do. Has to do with keywords and meta descriptions, etc. But if you look up something on Google, you have the top ranking links, and then for others you really have to scroll down or like go to the next page. It's of course optional, but also something to think about. So just to sum up a little bit, so when you look for web and software solutions, make sure that the company you work with is familiar with these regulations. You don't want to go through all of it, you know, and just hope that you're compliant. Make sure the actual company provides you with a checklist, and if the association hasn't provided everything, they keep bugging you until you're compliant. And that's why I always recommend to have a Florida-based corporation, because they are familiar, or they have people like Katie who help them. Administration services might be something you want to look into. It might save you money and time if you just send over the updates to the web provider and they do it for you. And also make sure that the company provides long-term assistance. You don't want a company to just give you the framework and say, okay, have fun. Now you're on your own. You want to make sure that they also offer like setup packages, that they upload the initial content, that they invite the owners to sign up, because it takes time. And as someone mentioned earlier, there's not that much time to be compliant by January 1st. So really make sure that the setup is done by someone else. Of course, free training, customer support, proven support after a property manager or administrator changes. You don't want to have that person to read a 60-page manual. You might just want to do a quick video call and have someone explain how to navigate the page. Unlimited storage is always good. You don't want to then have to pay like you have sometimes with Apple. I just had to upgrade my storage on my private account. You don't want to run into additional charges. And of course, also make sure that it's customizable. Every association is a little bit different. You might have certain preferences, and you want to make sure that it's not a one-fits-all solution. Backups and security, I already mentioned. Constant updates. If you have any change requests, let's say in the initial stages, you just wanted to be compliant, you didn't want to use surveys or e-blasts, but then maybe a couple of months later, you say, oh, you know what, that would actually be quite nice to have that as well, now that people are familiar with the web portal. Make sure that the website provider offers those change requests free of charge. And then if you are also looking at other software solutions such as e-voting or property management software, make sure it's not just a company that provides only websites, but that they also provide software solutions for HOAs and condos outside of that sector. Yes. And now we have some more time for questions, not that much, but 5 minutes to go. So are there any more questions?
Nothing else so far. If anybody else has any questions, now's the time to chat.
So if there are no questions, feel free to get in touch if you have, you know, any questions later on, if you think of anything. If you would like to see a demo of a web portal and some features, you can also get in touch with us. Our company offers a free trial, so you have 30 days to look at the system. You have your own sandbox, so to say, and then decide whether you want to go ahead and use that or not. And if you have any more questions when it comes to the requirements, as I mentioned, we will send you the presentation, and there are also the links that actually bring you to the DBPR website, where you have everything in detail.
We had two more quick ones. So going to have Google for providers, how to search. So I guess the question would be then, would the website come up in Google?
So that's the SEO that I mentioned. I mean, yes, it will come up, but it depends, you know, how good your search engine optimization is. If you type in, let's say your association is called Admiralty, that's where I live. and you're looking for Admiralty Condo Association, North Palm Beach, and you have a website, it will come up, but it might not be in the first place. It might not even be on the first page. That really depends on how long it's been online and how good the search engine optimization in the back end is. But yes, you will find it.
And I think it's really important to note too, here is the state makes no sense, right? So for condominiums, they have to get in compliance, the ones with more than 25 units by January 2026. But HOA is January 1, 2025. I don't know if it was a mistake by the Senate, but those are your deadlines. So any HOA more than 100 units, it's January 2025. Any condominium more than 25 units, it's 2026, January 1, 2026. And we have, do you think it's still a good idea for a website for a 16-unit community?
Well, I think it is a good idea, but when it comes to the 16 units, you don't really, need to upload all the documents. I would actually then customize it, ask those unit owners, what do you think would be useful, and customize it to the needs of these unit owners, because you have more freedom to, to create the content that is actually relevant to those owners.
Okay, and we do have someone asking for the link for 718, Lisa. Maybe perhaps you can send that out when you send the presentation. And someone
Yes.
else is asking about their credits. If you registered with your CAM class credit, your CAM number, Lisa will have it, show that you were in attendance today, and she will get that posted, like she said, within 5 to 7 business days. And so, please give her a week. And then if you still don't see it, then you can contact her after the 23rd of September.
Yes, absolutely. And here on the slides are actually the links. So when we send the slides, it's on slide 14 are those links. And that will, redirect you there. And also on our web page, you have a summary and also those links that lead you directly to the Florida Senate page.
Yes, and Lisa will make sure your contact information is in when you mail out, when you send out the presentation. So anybody that's asking to speak with her, and Bob, who also does speak with the individual clients, that information will be sent to you as well. I also put all the partners in the chat, so you will be able to contact any of the business partners that do our classes together. And we thank you guys so much. We'll be back in another 2 weeks with another class, and we'll get that emailed out to everybody on our list. So thank you so much for attending today. We appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Katie.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.